ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Oscar.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And etc.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by GEICO, with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
A seventh consecutive win at Soldier Field includes a second home come-from-behind victory. Down 6 in the first half, the Bears lay the hammer down to the second half and send Matthew Stafford and the Rams back to L.A. 24-18 losers. With Super Bowl Bears winning guard Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Welcome into episode 98 of the Bears Etc. podcast, and we are brought to you by GEICO. That streak, the longest since the 05-06 era, Tom, under Lovey, when they won 10 straight home games. And, it feels good because it doesn't look good when you're chasing 500 every other week, because every time you lose, you're chasing 2 weeks down the road, and that calendar shrinks, especially in October. And that's these 1-3 teams or these 0-4 teams. That's what they're facing, and the Bears don't have to face that right now. They're 500.
It is about your improvement as a football team, and if, you don't want to be 1-3, but what your main focus is making sure Caleb is getting better, making sure your offensive line is more productive, making sure that your defense is still playing according to plan, because eventually that 1-3 is going to be 7 games deep, and then so on and so forth, and then all of a sudden the division's going to be hitting you like a pie in the face.
Yeah, exactly. That division is it been more impressive than you thought?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. I think everybody thought the Green Bay Packers were going to be good at the start of the season. We didn't know what to think with the Minnesota Vikings after the injury to J.J. McCarthy, and they brought in Sam Darnold, who was a high first-round pick in this league that's been around a couple of teams. And the Detroit Lions, right now they're on everybody's radar, the respect radar. And so it's going to be interesting to be able to watch on TV a couple times before we do play them. But I think they're interested in watching the Bears as well, because they're a unique team to watch right now that has some bona fide veteran stars on this team.
Right. You don't really know if you're, looking at the Bears, what's coming, because there's so much development yet to come. They know about the defense. They certainly know about the defense, the takeaway defense, and the solid play across the board. But the offense is the wild card, and when it gets cranked up, and before we get any further, we want to tell you that we're brought to you by Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Because for you, as an outstanding analyst and breaking down everything in quite the detail, what is the most important takeaway from Sunday's win, team-wide?
Performance in the running game, 4.7 yards average. Now, if you can go and back that up by another game at 4, or what did we talk about? What was the number that we are searching for?
4 yards a carry.
Okay, so 4.7, that's a big advantage that you give your team. I like the construction of the pocket. I like the discipline of Caleb inside the pocket to make some big throws. So I guess I'm narrow-minded looking at it from the offensive point of view, but defense has never disappointed me, so I wasn't searching for answers there. My biggest take on the defense is you're rotating 8 defensive linemen, and there are 8 defensive linemen that are being productive. That's not really something that happens a lot in the NFL. You probably got your top 5, and then you hope 3 more play well. But right now, you're getting production out of every single guy that you're putting in the game. And then when you put them in the game, you're talking about putting a fresh stable of guys in the game that really helps the linebackers and the defensive backs.
Coming up, we'll hear from Matt Eberflus in the Status at Hallis, our weekly conversation with him. Let's get back to the run game, because DeAndre Swift is the central figure in that. I mean, there were reports nationally that the Bears were going to look to Jaylon Johnson as the lead back for this game. He played 22 snaps. I mean, you ride the hot hand, and DeAndre Swift has a belief in himself, and he was asking a lot of questions throughout the course of the week of everybody, trying to find some more answers, and he found them. 16 for 93. The touchdown run of 36 was a beauty. Terrific blocking on that play. The longest run since Velus Jones in 22 against the Vikings on a 42-yard play. And the first Bear since Jeremy Langford in 2015 for 70-70. We can keep on going because there's all sorts of numbers about this particular performance because he also had 7 catches for over 70 yards. So 165 total yards from scrimmage is a monster day. And then you had the hammer hitting the nail in Roschon. So love it.
Listen, we've been introduced in the NFL in the last 4 or 5 years of having a stable of running backs because you can't forget about Khalil Herbert, but you got DeAndre Swift, who looks like he's getting a better understanding of what this offense is all about and how the blocking is going to unfold in front of him. You have Jaylon Johnson that not only is he carrying the ball effectively and physically, but he's making some catches and he's able to convert them into first downs. So for me, as well as DeAndre Swift did, I'm glad we have a couple more there just waiting in the wings to have their fresh presentation of their opportunities. So I think it's exciting when you talk about depth in the running back position as much as on the defensive line.
So they sparred a little bit. They sparred a little bit with the Rams in the first half, getting their sea legs under them a little bit, and then things open up. And to me, the drive of the year so far, and we've talked about it, we broke it down Sunday night on Bears Game Night Live. You did, and I brought it up with Coach after the game on ESPN 1000. It's just the 6-play run, 6-play pass, 12 plays overall to a touchdown, and things were in rhythm. And after that point, they had 4 straight scoring drives. So to me, if they can build off of that and start faster that way in the future, this is going to be a completely different football team. Because Caleb Williams has thrown very few passes with the lead, which means the defense hasn't played many games with the lead and what they can do when they do have the lead. And I think that's what you're looking for here is to try to get something. We've got 4 one-score games they've been in. They've split them, and now you got to win the majority of those because that's the league. You got to win your one-score games.
Well, you brought up the boxing, so I'm going to bring up a boxing analogy, and Mike Tyson said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think the Bears did a great job at the beginning of the game when they held the Rams to field goals. Then all of a sudden they took those punches of field goals. Now what did the Bears do to respond? They got themselves and finally got into the touchdown, got into the end zone, whether it's the great play by Caleb or the big run that included Kramer. At the fullback
That's
position.
The punch in the face. That's
right,
the punch
exactly.
in the face.
That's what was my point is that, even though the Rams scored first with a veteran quarterback, the Bears punched back. And so I like to see that the Bears had the proper amount of fight in them that was needed at some of the most important points in the season.
So is that an overhand right? And then Brisker on the blitz sack that messed up Matthew Stafford, is that the uppercut? And then Torrey Taylor and his big right leg, what's he? Is he a combination? Boom, boom.
Kind of the rope-a-dope, where all of a sudden you're backed up a little bit, and you need a big a strategy to get you out of that corner, and all of a sudden here he is with 3 different styles of punts that are extremely effectively done, each in their own flight pattern, and it was just awesome to see the way it happened.
Jab, 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 knockout. Bears get the win. Let's discuss it now with the head coach, Matt Eberflus, and our status at Hallis. All right, Matt, thank you very much for joining us once again, and congrats. Terrific win over the L.A. Rams. A lot of connective tissue in this one. All 3 phases is what I'm referring to. So offense, defense, special teams. It was very knitted. Would you agree?
Yes, it was. I told the guys after the game how proud I was of them in terms of playing complementary football, and they did that. Right at the end of the half, you saw the missed field goal by them, and then we drove down and got a field goal ourselves, and then really the end of the game, was really good. We had a couple of 3-and-outs there, had a takeaway at the end, but the 4-minute drive by the offense was excellent too, being able to expire that time from 4:15 or so all the way down to they got the ball with 1:03. With no timeouts for that last drive. So that was great complimentary football there, plus the punt and pins, the 2 punt and pins in there, the 66-yarder, and then the one from the 43, down to the 8, both at the 8-yard line. So Torrey did an awesome job of that as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about him in a minute, but you got one past the media today. It caught my attention because I've heard this before on the Doug Kramer power run for for the touchdown for Jaylon Johnson. You called it God's play. Yeah. And nobody followed up on it. So explain it, because it is a thing for coaches. God's play is power football. Where did you hear it in your coaching life? I know you got history with all this stuff, but God's play, explain it.
Well, it's really just the power play. You know, you got to have a kick out and you got a polar in that same direction, and it's a good play. It's been around forever, and you know, it's one of the first plays you put in, and it's been effective for a long time. You know, so it's been part of football, and it will be a part of football forever. And it's a really good play.
Do you recall when that first was referred to as God's play to you?
I really don't.
Just passed down from coaches from generations.
Well, I know my coach, my former coach that I worked for a lot of years, Gary Pinko, was at the game as my guest with his two sons yesterday. So it was great to see him afterward. And I know he loves that play. And I know the guy he worked for, Don James, loved that play too. So it was good for him to be able to see that.
Yeah, the former University of Washington coach, Don James, correct. Awesome coach. Power. Every coach loves power.
Yeah.
That power.
Yep.
Every coach.
They do. It's a good play.
Steady offensive performance. High percentage of completions. I think Caleb was 15 of 15 with less than 15 plus air yards, according to Next Gen Stats and NFL analysis. That's some really good precision right there.
Yeah, he did, really good. His quarterback rating was really good too at 106, and that's his highest of the year. That just tells you that he's playing clean, efficient football, and he did a really good job protecting the ball yesterday. I know we had the one strip sack, but Matt ended up recovering that.
Matt Pryor, yep.
Yeah, at that time, but for the most part, it was really good, clean football.
And the deep shots will come, right? They're getting closer and closer.
Yeah, they are, and we had a couple of chances yesterday, you know, to be able to do that, and they covered him pretty good, and he did a really good job of getting the ball to the short part of the field.
All right, defense taking the ball away twice, nearly a third. The blitzes, that's where I want to get into the chess match, and as offensive coordinators have a particular instinct or a timing for a play, so do defensive-minded coaches and defensive play callers. Do you have a set number in your mind a game, or do you just get a feel for one? Or do you have them predetermined over the course of the week?
Yeah, I think you go into the game and, you know, just like an offensive coach, you have your sequence that you want to operate with, you know, in terms of the first 15. And then you kind of feel the game out. You know, then you have to feel the game out. You have to have those particular ones that you want to use at certain times. And I think that's a gut feeling, but you certainly know when that time is, you know, and it's important that you recognize that as a play caller.
Can you lull a team to sleep without them and then boom? I mean, I'm not suggesting the Brisker blitz sack was one of those moments, but maybe it was, and then you just know when to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I think it's instincts. You know, I've been calling defenses a long time, so I think it's just instincts with you know when and you know what to call and when to call it.
That's a fastball, gets everybody going. Blitzer aside, yeah, the man had a great game. We talked about it on the post-game show last night with you, with Tom and I on the broadcast. But talking to him after the game, he said he really felt he had a really strong week of practice. He felt free. I don't know what that means, but you can explain it better than I can ask him. So did you sense that from Brisk this past week?
Yeah, he's really working hard at his footwork, you know, and he's doing the basics, and that's what you do as a player. You know, you do the ordinary extraordinary. You know, you don't do extraordinary things. You just do the ordinary extraordinary. So that's a footwork. That's your base. That's your pad level when you enter the tackle. You know, wrapping through the tackle, running your feet. You know, he did all those things yesterday, and we haven't sent him that much this year. So so far, but he's always been an outstanding blitzer. You know, as is Kyler is also a good blitzer. Both of our backers are good pressure players. So we have options to be able to send different guys from different ways. And I think that, you know, Brisker just really has been paying attention to the basics.
Really felt if Javon Dexter took another big step this year, and that's headed in this direction right now, pressuring the quarterback, backside plays. Had another sack yesterday. I think he's tied with a couple of other guys in the league for interior defensive linemen in sacks, but that would just elevate the entire defense. Is he on that path, and is the defense on that path with him and Sweat and everything else that's going on?
Yeah, I think that goes all the way back to the spring. You know, he went back, you know, in the summertime, came back in tremendous shape. And I'm telling you, in terms of working during training camp, I don't think anybody worked harder than he did. I mean, he was running, getting himself in game shape, and that's why he's got a fast start. And I've always told the guys that if you're never going to be quite in game shape until you start playing games. I said, but you got to be real close. And if you are, then you're going to be playing at a high level right away. So it doesn't take you time. That's why you got a fast start. And then Billings is really doing a good job too. He had a really nice couple of nice pressures in there too. He's really denting the pocket with how physical he is and how strong he is. And that affects the quarterback too.
Yep, and Darrell Taylor taking advantage of his opportunities at late pressure there, marrying the pressure with the interception to close the deal with Brisk. He doesn't get many reps. He gets pass rush reps, but they're counting.
Yeah, I was really pleased with DT this week. You know, in terms he was ill, like I said in the presser yesterday. You know, a couple of days ago, and he's the coaches. Travis did a nice job of getting him ready, and Booker. You know, Booker really did a good job on his hustle plays down the field on a couple of those screens, and the guys were getting out of the stack. You know, out of the stack means you're rushing the quarterback, and then the ball's thrown, and you immediately with instantaneous reaction work your angle to the football with speed and. Those guys do a great job with that, and they hustled on those plays.
With this group up front, the more they see this success, see it pop on tape, see that the coaching you're teaching, the technique that's being taught, the fundamentals, and then it plays out, does this just kind of feed the beast a little bit for these guys, meaning that they can really make big strides in a short period of time, playing together in the rush?
Yeah, I really believe that's the case, and I really want to, it's about the players. It's about play. You can show them and you drill them and you do and hold them to a standard, but it's only good when they hold themselves to that same standard. You know, so when it's player led, and that's what you're starting to see with us being in our system for a couple of years now. It's starting to be player led. Like we talk about it, we show it and bring it to a man's attention in terms of the details of it, but it's led by them.
Which leads me to this then. I wasn't going to ask you about this, but all that talk about the communication, the players, leadership, all of that, if you're saying it's players-led, this is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, it is.
Correct?
It's exactly because, the accountability piece is led by the players. So, obviously we hold coaches and players and everybody accountable, but when it's led from the inside out, meaning that the partnership of the coach and the players are leading the accountability piece, that's when it becomes special.
Which you've always preached.
Yep.
You've always preached. All right, let's talk DeAndre Swift. Wonderful game. Just felt like maybe everything was off his back, It just played fast.
Yeah, and he really worked hard last couple weeks to be able to get to this point. And I'm excited for him to be able to have a day like that, to be able to have it pay off for him. He's been working with Chad and Jennifer and working with Shane and Simo and everybody on the offensive staff, and he got some great feedback, and he really took the feedback, to heart and put it in the drill work, put it in the team periods, and it paid off in game day.
All right, the blonde bomber is weaponized. I mean, when you talk about inside the 20, but 3 inside the 10, the English on the ball, balls are making right-hand turns dead right in front. I mean, wow, what a day for him. How important is it?
Yeah, I mean, you saw the impact of it.
Torrey Taylor, of course. That's
Torrey Taylor, I don't know if anybody gets that big of an applause in the stadium as a punter in the NFL.
There are people wearing his number 19 jersey already.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. And, he's proved to be a great draft pick. Ryan Poles drafted him, saw the vision for it, playing really good defense, being able to punt and pin guys down there. And, it's holding true.
And the 66-yarder, I don't want to keep belaboring it, but it was into the wind. Yeah. He says use it to your advantage. He's not even bothered by it.
Yeah, it was good. And it took a side turn there right at the 8, so it was a heck of a punt.
All right, let's talk Carolina Panthers. They got a different quarterback, so a different team now with Andy Dalton. From your perspective, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, just a veteran presence in there. He understands coverages, he understands the game, and you can really feel him in there. In terms of operating the offense, and it looks different. It looks like it's the Canales offense, that I'm used to seeing. And again, I haven't watched a bunch of tape on them yet. I've watched the last game or so, and but again, they're going to be disciplined, and they're going to know what to do with that quarterback in charge. Yeah,
they're trying to keep it together defensively too. A 3-4 unit. Ivero, very familiar with him, obviously, a former Ram. He's been there before. with Carolina Panthers. So anything stick out with that real quick?
Yeah, they've played really good defense under him, and he's done a really good job with those guys. Fundamentally sound, and again, they create some issues because of their front structure, and they do a really good job with their coverage contours. They can really change and move. It'd be interesting to see how they play us. So it's going to be a big challenge for us.
All right, good luck in your prep this week.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you. Did you get a kick out of God's play? And did you ever hear it referred to as that?
No. Listen, I've learned some phrases this year by Coach Eberflus, and a couple I've had to stop him and ask him about. So, no, necessarily.
I've heard about it. I've heard it, but I've heard about it. It's this old school coaching mindset. Every coach has it in their playbook, and it's simply power. It's power, which you guys knew very well back in your day, and a little power never hurts, Tom.
No, listen, man, the staple of Joliet Catholic's offense I've ran at high school is 57 power. And I think no matter what you call it or how you say it, it all means the same thing.
What else struck you about Matt? Seems very, he's very even-keeled. So he's not going to get crazy high about a win.
Yep.
And he's not going to get in the dumps about a loss. And so you could tell right when he took the microphone after the game, there's still some things to work on. Like this, like that, we go back to work.
I think Matt always looks at the big picture, and he doesn't take an unrealistic approach to a loss or to a win. He just kind of looks at the big picture and understands what you have to work on. And I think that's that's endlessly thought of by football coaches, that you're never going to play a perfect game. There's always something you have to work on from one game to the next, but you got to make sure that you're improving as a team, to build that confidence, to just give a positive reinforcement in the locker room. What you're doing is and can work.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, right here at home, driving access toward healthier communities through it all. All right, Tom, I got to pique your curiosity here and exactly what you liked about the defense and things to work on defensively, because you mentioned the rotation, the pressures. Sweat gets his second sack, now the fourth most in the NFC since last season with 14.5. Bears pressured on 21% of the dropbacks of Matthew Stafford. Darrell Taylor now has 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble through 4 games. And as Matt indicated, I didn't know if he was going to play. I mean, they didn't know if he was really going to play. I mean, they had to make plans for him not playing because he was sick all week. But I love the fact that he thought enough of this football team to get out there on Sunday and fight through whatever sickness he had and play and was instrumental in the last play of the game defensively when he pressured Stafford, resulting in the interception by Brisker.
Hey, listen, man, adrenaline has cured a lot of game day ills. Whether maybe it's a little bit of a cold during the week. Did you have a flu a couple days ago? But as you start sneaking towards the stadium and you see the building in there, your adrenaline kicks in, then you're also, man, I want to be out there with my teammates. I got to be out there with my teammates because I expect it out of myself and they expect it from me as well.
Streak of 10 straight, holding opponents to 21 points or less. The longest active streak in the NFL for this Bears defense. And taking the ball away is still a big thing, and it's going to continue to be. They have the bodies to do it. Let's listen in to Jaylon Johnson about where this team is at right now.
I mean, for us, that's what we want, just for us to put the game on our own shoulders to go out there and win the game for us. So we just look forward to it. I mean, even in the previous weeks, us finding a way to try to win the game. If it was pick 6, I know Kyler, hate to say it, but he had the opportunity to go change the game. So just different little things like that. We always trying to find ways to impact the game and to go win the game, not just when we're up, but also when we're down. For us, we can defend and score points. So we're always trying to find ways to win the game best we can.
Does it feel different when you're up, though?
Hell yeah. I mean, the mentality is a lot different. Situations different. I mean, their 2-minute drill versus a 4-minute drill is a little different. So the plays that they call, they have to go score, so they got to put the ball in the air versus them being up and they can just run the ball and situationally find plays. So it definitely changes the game schematically for us to be able to go out there and try to make certain plays.
Can you imagine that's the same for your own quarterback, too, is playing with the lead's a little different than having to chase points?
100%. I mean, like I said, the style of play is different. When you're down, you have to put the ball in there. You got to try to get chunk plays, explosive plays to score quickly and then get the ball back. So, I mean, just for them, it's the same thing, being able to have that lead, being able to run the ball a little more, be a little more aggressive in the run game, try to get that going when you're up. So, I mean, it definitely changes everything.
Anything that surprised you about how good you guys have been first 4 weeks?
Nah, honestly, we haven't been good enough, quite honestly. I feel like we definitely haven't taken away the explosive plays that we want to. We definitely let some of those go. We definitely have got hit in some of our runs, just not being disciplined, not being where we're supposed to be consistently. I mean, things like that are going to happen, but for us in our stand, we definitely haven't, I don't think, even scratched the surface for what we know we can do. Because we're shooting ourselves in the foot. It's not like guys are just making, the offense is just making one-on-one touches or anything like that. It's just simply us missing a gap and trying to do too much, or guys not fitting, cracking, and placing fast enough, things like that. So those are all things we can fix so we can be really even better.
What was the point of emphasis then this morning on some of those plays over the middle of the field that they were able to hit yesterday?
Really, I think just getting in our drops. I mean, it's crazy because we do it so well in practice, and we kind of get to the game and kind of start seeing a little bit too much. So we're just getting in the gaps. We know coming against that team, they like throwing the ball between the numbers, between the hashes. So definitely not being where we're supposed to be. I feel like as far as our drops, not getting good enough depth, getting really just closing those windows if it's us on the outside or whatever the case may be. So just finding ways to take away what we know teams are going to try to hit us with.
And with that said, what do you, now that it's been four games, what do you like about this defense that you know is better than it was last year?
We're all together. I think for us last year, still trying to find that identity as a whole. I mean, again, it was Tremaine, TJ first year, so we didn't get Tez till halfway through the season. So, I mean, things are definitely different. I feel like we're more of a unit, or I guess energy and everything is just coming together. Again, we had all of last year to build together the second half and then coming in off season and things like that. So we've definitely been able to bond together, adding DT with a good addition as well, being able to bring him in, just continue to build. So, I mean, everybody that we have on our side of the ball is definitely gelling together and knows what we're trying to do defensively.
The leadership group kind of took the ownership last week of saying we're not going to let this thing slide.
Right, no doubt.
How would you describe what went into last week in terms of that part of the equation?
I think from a captain, from a leadership standpoint, I think just being pissed off that we're not being who we know we can be. And, I mean, any team can beat any team in this league, but I think for us, that wasn't a game that we could have and should have let go. I think that was definitely a winnable game for us to go out there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't happen for various reasons. So us really just looking everybody in the eye and just having that open communication and not letting it just be swept under the rug. Okay, it's all good. We're just going to work to next week. But at the end of the day, we got to go out here and have a certain standard. So, I mean, whether it's coaches, players, whoever it may be, just holding each other to that standard and finding out the best ways to win games.
From what you know about Andy Dalton, what do you guys have to be on alert for coming up?
The red rifle. That's my guy. I mean, really just savvy. He's been around for a long time since, I mean, that name came from when he was at the Bengals. So, I mean, that was some time ago. So, I mean, he's seen a lot of coverages, seen a lot of blitzes. So, I mean, kind of like Stafford in a way where he's going to be able to pick up some things. So, we got to do a good job disguising. We got to get hits and pressure, make them kind of uncomfortable in the pocket. But also, I mean, like a lot of the quarterbacks that get pressure in their face, they kind of tend to throw some bad throws and make some bad decisions. So for us in the secondary, we got to be where we're supposed to be, and then the front got to get after them.
There was another guy. Hey, we could do better, and I love that mindset. Yeah. They're not banking on anything right now. They just got to go back to work.
You know, Jaylon's kind of that alpha male that I've been searching for
I agree.
For a long time on this team. And he's not only doing it by just talking a lot inside the locker room or at the podium, he's doing it by his performance. And he's going out there and he's playing a physical style of tackling football for a cornerback, but he's also doing the main responsibility of a cornerback, and he's got great coverage skills. And then I think the way he carries himself in front of his teammates is an example of if you work hard, good things are going to happen. But if you work hard, good team things can happen. And that's what I like about Jaylon. And I think that he's maturing along the rate that we hoped he would, because he really set a good example for himself from the moment he got here. But now he's starting to morph into that legitimate corner, which I say is the second most difficult in football, most difficult position in football.
Well, the other thing too, he speaks his mind too. So, you're getting the raw truth from his perspective for sure.
That's the alpha kind of what I like out of him.
Good news, Chicago. United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United proud to fly the Chicago Bears and you too. All right, let's flip back over to the offense. Let's talk about the offensive line. Tevin Jenkins, 11 snaps, and then a rib injury moving forward. Don't know. It's day-to-day, so I don't know what the severity of that is. You've had these injuries. They're not simple to play with. Can't breathe. You're always in pain. It's your core. Your body's constantly moving. Everything's related to the core. So if your ribs are hurt, what do you think?
It depends if it's a rib or rib cartilage. There's two different types of injuries there, and how painful it is and what type of shot are you willing to take if they're guaranteed that there's one very specific spot that they can probably numb it through most of the length of a game. But I would rather have a healthy body in there, a healthy guy that isn't in those circumstances where he's playing with concern and pain. So if it does, then, Nate Davis, your time is back up. Bring it here. Start with an impressive performance in practice and then bring it to the game field. And they're fortunate to have a guy like Matt Pryor who can go right or left-handed stance and play equally as well.
Yep, he did a nice job. And you can't minimize his size. That's a weird play on words because you can't minimize a 6'7" dude. That's for sure. Also, some really good play by Caleb Williams. Tom, the downfield game's going to come. It's going to come. I have no question in my mind about it. He is an accurate quarterback in the big picture. No further explanation than that throw on the dime on a postage stamp to DJ Moore over the middle. Linebacker on him, exploited the matchup, found his guy, boom, touchdown Bears. And the other deep stuff, that's going to come. The throw over the middle to Cole Kmet, I also feel very strongly about. 22-yard strike, good read, rush coming at him, boom, nailed it. Ripped the middle of the field like Matthew Stafford did yesterday. Veteran quarterbacks in the pocket, they work that middle of the field very well. So those are two middle field throws that I'm very excited about moving forward. How about you?
I don't have any concern for Caleb because I know the process of learning how to play quarterback in the NFL is a difficult process and it takes a little time. I like those throws to DJ and Nicole. They're just so impressive because when you look at the tape of it and you look at from the end zone shot, it's incredible that what a small window of opportunity he threw it to DJ, and then how close it was to the fingertips of the linebacker when he threw it over the top to Cole Kmet. But, I also like the check down routes to Roshan and DeAndre Swift because we really haven't seen those for a while. And now you kind of understand how effective they can be. We talked about the one to Roshan where he made the catch and he was able to convert it to the first down. And then DeAndre Swift caught one and was able to get out of bounds and stop the clock. So there's a wide variety of throws and decisions that a quarterback has to make in the time frame that he's got to make them. And I'm excited what I think everybody's going to see out of Caleb. And then his escapability is impressive because if someone thinks they got a sure sack on him, if someone has his foot, he's able to get it out, spin out of it, somehow get himself some freedom and be able to make a throw.
And a couple RPOs just to give him something to think about. A couple of RPOs. Right. But, 15 of 15, 15-plus air yards according to Next Gen Stats. He was perfect yesterday. Less than 15.
Again, that's the exciting thing about going to the Bears game week in and week out. There's some development in his game that's exciting to see what's coming next. And when you see the DJ throw, you see the Cole throw, love him. When you see he's got a demeanor on screens that there is no panic, and screen development for an offensive line quarterback, it's so hard to get that perfect. But he knows how to attract attention, how to throw the ball efficiently to whomever his receiver is, and then get yards out of it. So it's just fun watching him develop in a big development in a short amount of time.
Always fun watching our guy Cole Kmet as well. He was at the podium Monday at Hallis Hall.
Oh, yeah, I thought a lot of good violence on tape up front, so I thought that was really good to see. Obviously, things that we just need to get cleaned up pre-snap-wise. If, we want to stay efficient and stay ahead of the chains in that regard. But a lot of good things, I thought, with violence on tape up front. And That showed with some of the explosive in the run game, and then being able to get that that first down in that 4-minute scenario before we punted it back. Those are big. Those are tough scenarios. You're really not getting favorable looks in the run game, and you kind of have to make it work. And I thought we did a good job there. And then when you look situationally, I thought it's really starting at the end of the half where they missed that field goal, and then we respond with getting 3 points there to go up 4. That's huge. And then really from there, just playing really good football from there on out. So all that stuff was really good.
Well, after the game, Jaquan Brisker said that he knew you guys were going to have a good day on the ground because of how physical you were in practice. Did you have a sense of, that it would be better improved last time?
Yeah, I thought it was just good details, not even just in practice, but in the walkthrough in terms of how we were detailing up our walkthrough, making it a little more game-like in that regard. And, not easy to do necessarily in a walkthrough, but, getting our fits correct so the backs could see, where the ball should be hitting. And, all those are good mental reps to have, and I think that's kind of what played into the success on Sunday.
Well, what do you make of the false start issues overall?
Yeah, I think that's just a thing we got to get fixed as a offense in totality. Between obviously communicating up front, being dialed into the certain play calls that we have with certain cadences, and just everyone being on the same page there. So, look, there's still growing pains, and that wasn't perfect the other day. And those are things that we got to get fixed up, but definitely an all 11 thing there for sure.
Calling the touchdown to Swift, we see you kind of celebrating with the fist pump. Block the DM. What was that like seeing when you see?
Yeah, it was great. When you see a guy with the breakaway speed like that, and I made the cut block, and he was able to just kind of jump over him a little bit as he was falling down, and then I just saw the seize part and him take off. You knew he was gone. So. DeAndre's got good home run speed there, so that was good to see.
What was most notable to you about the play before the little shot that Caleb?
Yeah, just a true NFL throw and catch right there. They step up just enough for him to get the ball over, and that's considered open in this league, and a play that you got to make, and he made it, and it's really cool to see that type of throw. The throw to DJ was really awesome, and. Just all day he was super efficient, did a really good job of taking care of the football. And, when you do that and you got our defense playing the way they're playing, our team's using it playing the way they're playing, it plays in well to our team. And you're going to win a lot of football games if we keep doing that.
I'll tell you about his recognition of NFL Open.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's great. And I think he's gotten better and better at that as really since the start of training camp. And, him recognize, I think he's seeing things quicker now. He's always done a good job at diagnosing the defense, but I think, at first it maybe took him a few extra seconds to really see what was happening. I think he's seeing it a little bit quicker now, recognizing that stuff. He has a good understanding of, he knows what he's doing. Like the throw to DJ, they got a safety and he looks to the left to kind of keep the safety tucked over to the left for a little bit, knowing that DJ is one-on-one with a linebacker. And, he knows that matchup, and you're going to take that all day. So he did a really good job there with that. And, I think he's done what I've been impressed with, all the great stuff that he's done, obviously in college, and all the crazy plays I'm sure he made throughout his college career. He's doing a good job of just kind of taking what the defense was giving him the other day, and to do that in your fourth game is really, really impressive.
What'd you think of your punter?
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's fun to watch. I've been telling guys, it's fun to watch at practice. So it was cool to, we don't want to be in a ton of punting scenarios, but when you got somebody like that where we know at the kind of in that 4-minute scenario, we get one first down, we're in a good spot there, and we're able to get them to knock down some of those timeouts, and Torrey takes care of the rest. It's very hard for an offense to go, 92, 90, whatever, however many yards that was at the end of the game like that with no timeouts. And it allows the defense to really play really aggressive in those type of scenarios. So, he's a hell of a punter, man. Hell of a punter.
A little reunion with Andy Dalton coming up this Sunday. What was your signature memory of your time with Andy?
I love Andy. Andy, I think he's a great quarterback. I know he's always believed in himself as one of the top 32 guys in this league, that he should be a starter in this league, and he's showing that right now in Carolina. So obviously a very veteran quarterback, a guy that knows what he's doing, can get the ball out quickly, has a good knowledge of defenses, and So he's seen a lot in his day, and it'll be a good challenge for us. This is now they're a team that's kind of up and rising since he's taken over, and it'll be a good challenge for our defense. But watching them from afar so far, definitely happy for Andy and what he's been able to do for the past couple of weeks.
You got the stage, buddy.
He liked the word violence.
Yes.
He definitely used that a couple times, and I think there's a lot of different descriptions when you're a fullback, an H-back, a tight end. Whatever Cole is asked to be, he is. And so I thought yesterday was probably one of his best interior blocking games that I've seen.
You proud of that cup block? You proud of that cup block on the DeAndre Swift?
He made a couple they ran that same play twice, and he ran that block super efficiently both times. The catch towards the sideline, then the catch towards the middle of the field. I still want Cole to be a regularly targeted option in this offense, but I was happy for Cole and the type of game he played.
All right, so that thigh high, that's what you're looking for, right? Thigh high. At his size, that's not easy to bend down there, right?
No, but these guys, they don't wear knee pads anymore. They got these little thigh pads in there, and they're more concerned about deflecting that body, and that drops their head, and then they lose sight of their responsibility. And I'm not saying go there and try to hurt anybody.
Right.
I'm saying try to focus their attention off of their responsibility. And that's exactly what Cole was able to do.
Yeah, Michael Hoyt, that's the first thing he did. He dropped his head.
Yeah.
100%. Nicely done. We're brought to you by PNC, official bank of the Bears. All right, both Jaylon Johnson and Cole Kmet mentioned their former teammate, Andy Dalton. You said, hey, don't go to sleep on Andy Dalton, and they've got 60 points in the last 2 games. Now, they've split those games, but they now are not the same Panther team that started the season with that young quarterback, Bryce Young.
No, all of a sudden you add the element of development to the quarterback position, and that means you add uncertainty by the receivers. Then you add experience to the quarterback position. Now you're adding receiver assets, and you look at what they have and the different options they have in the game. What he threw, I think 42 times this past game. So they're letting him throw it. It's not something that they're hiding behind Andy Dalton and let the running game take over, even though they had 155 yards rushing. It's about, we're going to let Dalton be the quarterback that we brought him here to be, and he knows the system as well, or maybe better than a young quarterback because he's more familiar with disguised coverages than a young guy is.
5 touchdowns in his first 2 games. Bryce Young had thrown a combined 5 touchdowns in his last 13 starts. But you mentioned the running game, and so that's got my attention right out of the gate. Chuba Hubbard has had back-to-back 100-yard games. He also caught the ball yesterday. First time in his career, consecutive 100s. And then the change-up is Miles Sanders. He ran for almost 6 a carry, limited. And then the second straight week with Andy Dalton, Deontay Johnson, the veteran, whose name has come up in some trade talks.
I heard that.
Especially with Rashee Rice now going down in Kansas City. But he had a good game, 7 for 83. So those are the things to look at right there. And then defensively, it looks like Shaq Thompson's got an Achilles.
Yes.
So that stinks for him, of course. But a young team just got a lot younger.
They lost their best defensive lineman,
Derek Brown.
Yeah.
So that's 2 big losses there. They got a rookie linebacker, Trevin Wallace, who came in and so wound up being the green dot guy, making the checks and everything for the defense. So that's something to look at. Panthers rush defense early on in the game, really good. They allowed only 8 rushing yards in the first quarter and 11 for the first half. So don't get discouraged if they happen to have a plucky game when they're, stopping the run. Stick to the run game. And I forgot about Xavier Leggett because he's the speed guy at 4.39. He also had a good day. So 250 yards to Leggett and Deontay Johnson. Both had touchdowns. So these are the early guys to watch.
The 6'3", 227, another big receiver, draft choice this past year. So when you look at Leggett and that developing relationship, that's what I'm talking about. You put Leggett in there with Bryce Young, there's confusions on both ends of the football. When you put Leggett in there with Andy Dalton, now all of a sudden you become a big target, like a tight end size target. So that's, Andy Dalton is really the biggest concern of what this team can do, but now it's what the Bears defense has to do.
Steinhoffel's, an employee-owned furniture and mattress store. Visit any of their 4 Chicagoland locations in Vernon Hills, Crystal Lake, Downers Grove, and Harwood Heights, or shop online at steinhoffels.com. All right, couple things about the Bears. We didn't even talk about Torrey Taylor enough, but, hey, like you said, there's jerseys with the number 19 on it now, and that's pretty cool for a punter. His reputation precedes him, obviously. And this is a guy he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better as he gets used to Soldier Field, for example, in those swirling winds. And I thought it was hilarious. I read a quote, and I didn't get to talk to him after the game, but the 66-yarder into a pretty stiff wind, 19 mile per hour. He goes, I use it to my advantage. How do you use the wind coming at you as an advantage? I thought that was brilliant. But what's he do to the football, or what does he do to create the English into the wind for 66 yards? Explain this to me.
I think that he's got a unique ability to kick a spiral off his foot, and he knows when he's going to kick a spiral. And then he knows the predominant wind direction inside that stadium. And he went to the stadium the night before the game.
Oh, really?
And he sat in the stadium to kind of let the wind hit him, to understand how it all feels. And I think when you know the predominant wind direction, no matter what sport or what you're doing out in the wind, you got to know that in order to be efficient about what you're trying to do. And so I think he gets there early, feels the wind, kind of talks to Cairo a lot about it. I see Cairo go out there every single time out and pick grass and throw it up into the air. And those specialists are weird guys, man, because that's what they do for a living. They're living off their foot.
I wouldn't call it weird. I would call it a pro move.
Oh, they're weird.
That's a veteran move, what he did. I didn't know this. I didn't know that he showed up at the stadium the night before.
Yeah, listen, I say that out of respect.
No, I know.
Because I say that out of respect because they're so talented with their foot. That's how they're making a living. But there's so many elements that they study and investigate beforehand that they got to know what's going on.
Heck, you could just head over to the stadium the night before as well. Make a little pot roast in the slow cooker, and you and Torrey could sit there and chop it up. Talk football.
I love to. He's got to make arrangements to have the right people open him up and allow him to get in the stadium, and you go and you sit there and study it. And I think it's kind of cool because there's so many different weather elements and how they affect Soldier Field. And what was it? We went through 3 weather zones yesterday.
Yeah.
A little bit of mist and sprinkle in the morning.
A little chill.
And then a little bit of wind, little chill, a little sun.
It was humid at the end of the day. I mean, we were sweating in the booth, that's for sure.
Right.
And I'm not a sweater like you. Hey, this is funny, though, now that you're talking about, because you got to the stadium quite early on Sunday, even earlier than normal. And this is one thing. Can you imagine if we had the luxury, especially at a home game, to just show up the night before, have our own little suite, right? And you can get a good night's rest, wake up, get a little workout in, run some steps, run some stairs, take a shower, get ready to call a football game. That would be my dream. That would be awesome.
My dream would have a motorhome in the parking lot and live in the motorhome, just sit there and relax, and then walk into the stadium. But no,
hey, I got something for you. I know somebody who could hook you up. Jim Harbaugh, your old teammate.
Yeah, well, you just upped the ante when you said having a suite inside there, where that would just be awesome to walk in there the night before, just relaxed, and
you'd never whine again about anything.
It would make me want to get there on Friday night then. Friday, sit there, watch high school football on my tablet.
Hey, we're as weird as you say special teams people are.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
For sure. Vizzy Hard Seltzer, flavors for every vibe. Celebrate responsibly. Molson Coors Beverage Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So a big home game coming up against the Carolina Panthers. It certainly has implications, as it did a year ago with the draft order. Because remember, this trade, this big trade that general manager Ryan Poles pulled off a couple of years ago to get DJ Moore and all that's come with it includes a second-round pick that the Carolina Panthers own. So wherever that pick does land, it has a chance to be another good high pick for the Bears. So there's a lot to this. Knock them down another peg, get a win, get to 3-2, and head to London. A week from tonight, we're taping this on Monday. A week from Monday night, we are hitting the road for London, and won't be back at Soldier Field until November 10th against New England. I mean, it's
don't like to hear that,
right? But it's the facts. There's a bye week, of course, after London. Have you put your head around? Have you wrapped around? I know you don't love the European travel and the European games, but just getting yourself ready to head over, you got to think of a lot of different things, and you're not even playing right now. There's a lot that we have to plan and organize to get ready to go.
Yeah, I'm still going to bring a carry-on piece of luggage. I'm not going to overpack, number one. Number two is, in preparation for the opponent, and I don't want to look ahead and start talking about that game, but when you go there, it's a huge travel, and if you come away with the win, then you come back and you get an opportunity to refresh your mind and refresh the minds of some of these young guys, the Austin Booker and Caleb and Roma Dunze and Torrey Taylor, Karan Amagaji and stuff. These young kids that have been so active since the conclusion of their senior year that they finally get 4 or 5 days to relax. And then you got to ramp it back up. But, when you talk about the importance of the Carolina game in so many different ways, then you talk about your opponent in London, you come out of that bye week flying high if you're looking at 2-0 in the next couple weeks.
Oh, a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a fun year. I just have that kind of feeling. It's going to be dramatic. Every way you can type of shape it. All right, Tom, that's going to wrap us up. Special thanks to Matt Eberflus as well. And Vizzy Hard Seltzer, flavors for every vibe. Celebrate responsibly. Molson Coors Beverage Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We'll be back with you at a real deep dive on the Carolina Panthers on Thursday when our podcast clicks over to episode number 99, believe it or not. We got the Hampton podcast. We just got done with we got the Montez Sweat out of the way. But number 99, and we got Bears Weekly on Thursday night as well. We'll have all sorts of guests and hope to entertain you as always. So until then, thanks for listening. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.